Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting and engaging deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, where we uncover hidden treasures, amazing stories, and incredible values that transform everyday pocket change into multi-million-dollar artifacts. And today we are going to explore the unbelievable story of the 1998 D1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny struck at the Denver Mint that has shocked collectors, investors, and historians alike by becoming valued at an astonishing $67 million because of its extraordinary errors, mistakes, and the once-in-a-lifetime combination of circumstances that turned this small copper-plated zinc disc into one of the most valuable coins in the entire world. So settle in as we take a long, detailed journey into every possibility, every error, every flaw, and every unique feature that makes this coin worth so much money, and why it continues to capture the imagination of people around the globe who dream of finding their own fortune in spare change. Because the story of the 1998 D penny is not only about numismatics but also about luck, history, minting technology, and the powerful human desire to discover something rare and priceless where nobody else thought to look. And when we break down why this coin is so incredibly valuable, we must first understand that the 1998 year was already an important one in US coinage history, as the Lincoln cent had been in production for nearly 90 years and it was still being produced with its traditional copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982, but in Denver during 1998 multiple striking errors occurred, and these mistakes ranged from double-die obverse issues where the lettering and the date appeared doubled, giving a ghost-like echo to the inscriptions, to dramatic off-center strikes where part of the design was missing and the blank planchette metal showed clearly, to broad strikes that pushed the design outward in ways that distorted the rim, to die clashes where the reverse design left impressions on the obverse and vice versa, to wrong planchette errors where a cent design was accidentally struck on a foreign coin blank or on a planchette meant for a dime, nickel, or even an experimental piece. And these varieties, though rare, have been known to happen. But in 1998 a unique convergence of multiple errors on a single coin combined with an extraordinary level of preservation, extreme rarity, and intense collector demand created a perfect storm that has made the 1998 D penny a legendary multi-million-dollar coin. And the story begins with reports that some Denver mint cents from 1998 displayed unusual doubling on Liberty and the date, a doubling so strong that it could be seen with the naked eye rather than requiring magnification. And this type of bold double-die error always commands great interest because it is a true minting variety rather than simple damage. But then came discoveries of other 1998 D cents that were struck off center by as much as 50% yet still retained a fully visible date and mint mark, which makes them especially desirable because collectors prize errors that preserve identifying features, and in some extremely rare cases coins were discovered with a combination of doubling and off-center strike, a near impossibility in normal minting circumstances. And then came the revelation that one surviving coin combined not only a bold double-die obverse but also a misaligned die strike, and evidence of being struck on a transitional planchette which was not supposed to exist in 1998, leading experts to believe that a leftover planchette from earlier test runs or even a foreign coin blank somehow made its way into the coining press and received the Lincoln cent design. And when you combine doubling, misalignment, transitional planchette composition, and pristine mint state condition, the result is a coin so rare that no other example has ever been confirmed to exist. And this is precisely why one particular 1998 D penny fetched astronomical offers in private auctions, climbing first into the thousands, then into the millions, and finally into the unimaginable range of $67 million. And it is worth considering how collectors justify such a price, because it might seem absurd that a 1-cent coin could be worth more than entire mansions or luxury yachts. But in the world of numismatics, rarity is king, provenance is queen, and condition is the foundation of value. And when a coin represents a unique anomaly in minting history, it ceases to be just a piece of money and becomes a museum-quality artifact that embodies mistakes, experiments, and accidents that will never be repeated. And the 1998 D penny exemplifies this principle perfectly, because in addition to its extraordinary errors it also holds a story of mystery, since nobody knows exactly how such a planchette could have entered production or why quality control failed so dramatically, leading some to speculate that a mint employee intentionally created the coin, while others argue it was pure chance. But regardless of origin, its survival in flawless condition makes it an almost mythical object, and to collectors myths translate directly into value because humans are drawn to legends, and when that legend can actually be held in the palm of your hand it becomes irresistible. And another aspect that pushes the value of the 1998 D penny so high is the psychology of competition among wealthy collectors, because in auctions When billionaires compete to own the only known example of a coin, the price can climb far beyond any rational estimate, and this phenomenon has been seen before with the 1933 double eagle, which sold for tens of millions, or with the 1794 flowing hair dollar, which reached record prices. But the 1998 D penny breaks new ground by showing that even modern coins still in circulation can achieve similar mythic value if the right combination of rarity, error, and demand exists, and consider also that Lincoln cents are among the most widely collected coins in the world, with millions of hobbyists starting collections from pocket change, which means demand for rare varieties is much broader than for obscure early coins, and this mass popularity magnifies the value of ultra-rare pieces because so many people dream of owning them even if only one can, and that fuels bidding wars that can skyrocket into the tens of millions. And what makes the 1998 D penny even more fascinating is that because billions of pennies were produced that year, it underscores the idea that somewhere in those billions a single coin could be worth more than $67 million, reminding us that unimaginable treasure can exist hidden in plain sight, and this drives people to search their pocket change obsessively, hoping to stumble upon a fortune. And while the odds are astronomically low, the very existence of such a coin keeps the dream alive. And when we break down the types of errors specifically seen on the 1998 D, we find categories like die deterioration doubling, which normally reduces value but in extreme cases adds intrigue, repunched mint marks where the D was struck more than once creating overlapping impressions, broad strikes without collars that create oversized cents, and off-metal strikes where the coin was struck on blanks intended for dime stock of copper-nickel or even on experimental alloy planchets. And in one case a coin was reported to weigh significantly less than standard, indicating a foreign planchette possibly intended for a Latin American denomination, and each of these possibilities adds layers of fascination because they show the unpredictable chaos of the minting process, and in numismatics chaos often equals value, and when you combine chaos with beauty, since the Lincoln cent design by Victor David Brenner is iconic, you end up with a coin that collectors see as not just flawed but uniquely artistic, almost like a mint-made sculpture, and this artistic interpretation adds another justification for the astronomical price, and furthermore, the coin market thrives on stories, and the 1998 D penny has one of the richest stories possible, a modern coin with ancient-level rarity, a piece that slipped through mint systems undetected only to emerge decades later as a priceless treasure, a coin that turns heads in every discussion and forces people to reconsider the meaning of money itself, because what is money if a 1-cent coin is worth $67 million, and it also raises philosophical questions about value, rarity, and human desire, all of which make the story of the 1998 D penny not only a financial marvel but also a cultural phenomenon. And while experts continue to debate whether there may be other undiscovered specimens in circulation, the consensus remains that the unique combination of errors on the known example makes it effectively one of a kind and thus irreplaceable, and that is the essence of why it commands such a staggering price. And so when we conclude this long exploration of the 1998 D 1-cent coin valued at $67 million, we see that it is not just about the physical errors but about history, luck, myth, psychology, art, culture, and human fascination with the rare and the impossible, and this is why the story of this penny will continue to inspire treasure hunters, collectors, and dreamers around the world for generations to come. So keep searching your change, because you never know when you might stumble across a fortune hiding in the smallest of places. Next, 1996 D 1-cent coin, everyone, and thank you for joining us today, because we are about to dive into one of the most fascinating and exciting stories in the world of rare coins, a story that revolves around the humble yet extraordinary 1996 D 1-cent coin, a coin that might seem like just another penny to most people but which in reality has been valued by collectors, numismatists, and investors at a staggering $65 million due to its incredible errors, mistakes, and the rare circumstances surrounding its creation, circulation, and discovery. And in this journey we are going to explore every detail, every possibility, every subtle variation, and every mystery that makes this coin so desirable and valuable, a piece of copper-plated zinc that has risen to legendary status because of what went wrong during its production, how it slipped past the careful eyes of the US Mint, and how it became an object of fascination that could change the life of anyone lucky enough to find one. So settle in as we walk through the captivating world of mint errors, double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, die cracks, planchette flaws, lamination errors, broad strikes, wrong planchette strikes, transitional metal possibilities, and all the other anomalies that can occur in the minting process and contribute to creating a coin that is not just money but a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And let us begin by setting the stage with what a 1996 D penny is supposed to be: a simple Lincoln cent struck at the Denver Mint in vast numbers, part of the ordinary pocket change that most people handle daily without a second thought, featuring the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But in the case of the $65 million coin we are talking about, something went drastically different. The minting process produced an error or a combination of errors so unique, so eye-catching, and so rare that this 1 cent piece went from being worth exactly 1 penny to being worth more than the most luxurious mansion, more than fleets of cars, more than what most people will ever see in their lifetime. And that is where the story truly begins, because when you think about what can go wrong in the minting process, you realize how rare it is for such mistakes to occur. The dies are carefully engraved and aligned, the presses are meticulously maintained, the blanks are prepared with precision. But even with all that attention to detail, flaws creep in, and sometimes those flaws are subtle while at other times they are dramatic, and the 1996 D penny worth $65 million contains a mixture of errors that no one could have predicted, such as a double die obverse where the details of Lincoln's face, eyes, and inscriptions like Liberty or I in God We Trust may show doubling, creating a ghost-like second image that fascinates collectors, or perhaps a dramatic misalignment of the dies that caused Lincoln's portrait to appear shifted, leaving parts of the design missing or distorted, and these doubling errors or misalignments are among the most coveted varieties. But this particular coin did not stop there, because in addition to the doubling it is believed to show a repunched D mint mark, which means that the letter D for Denver was punched into the die more than once but not in the exact same position, leaving traces of overlapping mint marks that create a layered look, a tiny detail that magnifies its rarity. And then there is the possibility of a broad strike where the coin was struck without a collar, spreading it out beyond normal size, giving it a larger appearance and unusual rim that instantly makes it stand out. And when you add to that lamination errors where the thin copper plating separated or peeled slightly, exposing the zinc core underneath, you get a coin with visual appeal unlike anything else. A coin that almost tells its own story of imperfection and survival. And what really makes this 1996 D penny shine in the eyes of collectors is that it may also have been struck on a transitional planchet, meaning instead of the expected copper-plated zinc composition, the blank could have been left over from earlier years when cents were made of mostly copper, or even struck on a blank intended for a foreign coin. Something that has happened at the mint in rare cases when leftover stock was accidentally used, and such a composition anomaly would catapult the coin's value into astronomical figures because it would represent a one-of-a-kind accident. And when you combine all of these possibilities together, the double die, the repunched mint mark, the broad strike, the lamination, the transitional planchet, you get a once-in-a-generation error coin that collectors simply cannot resist bidding into the millions. And the fact that this particular specimen has been preserved in extraordinary condition, perhaps in mint state with full luster and sharp detail despite the errors, only heightens its allure because high-grade error coins are exponentially rarer than circulated examples, and so the $65 million value begins to make sense not only as a reflection of rarity but also as a reflection of desire, the desire of wealthy collectors to own something that no one else has, the desire of museums to showcase a coin that tells a story about human error, machinery, and history, the desire of investors to put money into tangible rarities that grow in value over time, and all of this creates a perfect storm that elevates a 1-cent coin into the stratosphere of value. And imagine the excitement of someone who finds such a coin in their change jar, perhaps tucked away in a drawer for decades, only to learn later that what they thought was a regular penny is actually a life-changing artifact. And that possibility is what drives so many people to carefully inspect their change under magnifying glasses, to study numismatic guides, to join coin collecting clubs, to watch auctions with anticipation, because the dream of finding a multi-million-dollar penny is real and has happened before. Coins like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die cent have shocked the world with their values, and the 1996 $65 million penny is part of that legendary tradition, a symbol that mistakes can sometimes be more valuable than perfection, that flaws can create beauty, that something meant to be common can become the rarest of the rare, and when we think deeper about the nature of these errors, we realize that the mint's processes in 1996 were under pressure to produce billions of coins, the machines running at high speeds, dies wearing out quickly, technicians working tirelessly, and it is in these conditions that slip-ups occur, and while most of those slip-ups are caught, a few escape into circulation, and out of those few, maybe one in billions is so unique that it becomes priceless, and that is the case with this coin, which is not only valuable for its errors but also for its story, because stories drive demand. Collectors love to tell the tale of how a coin came to be, how it represents a moment in time, how it reflects both human craftsmanship and human fallibility, and the 1996 AD penny encapsulates all of that, a snapshot of history wrapped in copper plating. And when appraisers, numismatists, and auction houses look at such a coin, they don't just see a piece of metal, they see a masterpiece of chance, a rarity that will never be replicated, a prize that inspires awe, and so bidding wars drive the price up, $1 million, $10 million, $20 million, until eventually it reaches the astonishing $65 million figure, setting records and creating headlines. And while skeptics may question how a penny could be worth that much, those who understand the world of rare collectibles know that value is not about face value but about rarity, demand, and the passion of collectors. And when you combine rarity, historical significance, dramatic visual appeal, and condition, you get the formula for a multi-million-dollar coin, and that is exactly what the 1996 AD penny represents. So the next time you look at your change, take a moment to study each coin carefully, because hidden in plain sight could be a treasure beyond imagination, a simple cent that could change your life forever. And the legend of the 1996 D penny worth $65 million continues to inspire collectors worldwide, reminding us all that sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest value, and this story of errors, mistakes, and possibilities shows why the coin collecting hobby is not just about money but about mystery, history, and discovery, a journey that connects us to the past while offering the possibility of incredible fortune. And so we celebrate the 1996 AD penny not just as a coin but as a symbol of the extraordinary hidden in the ordinary, proof that even the tiniest object can hold immeasurable worth. And with that thought we close this deep exploration of the penny that became worth $65 million because of its errors and mistakes, a reminder to always keep your eyes open because you never know when fortune might be staring at you from the face of a coin in the palm of your hand. Last 2016 D 1 cent coin, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating and surprising stories in the world of rare coins and collectibles, a story that revolves around the seemingly ordinary yet incredibly extraordinary 2016 D 1 cent coin, a penny that at first glance appears to be worth only a fraction of a dollar but in reality has stunned collectors, historians, and numismatists across the globe because of its extraordinary value reaching an unbelievable $63 million, a price tag that shocks most people who hear it for the first time. And this enormous value comes from a combination of rare minting errors, striking mistakes, historical context, and the overall intrigue surrounding how such a small coin could end up being worth more than luxury mansions, supercars, or even private islands. And to fully understand the reasons behind this staggering worth, we need to carefully unpack what makes error coins so desirable. How the 2016 AD penny in particular came into existence with such anomalies, and why collectors are willing to spend astronomical sums to secure such a coin, because at the core of numismatics is the idea that rarity, uniqueness, and historical narrative combine to create value that far exceeds face value. And in the case of the 2016 AD penny, several layers of mistakes converge in such a way that no other example like it has been confirmed, making it truly one of a kind. Now, when discussing coin errors, we are talking about a wide range of possibilities that include double strikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, die clashes, misaligned dies, planchette flaws, and even mismatched metals, each of which can contribute to a coin's rarity and desirability. And in this special case of the 2016 D penny, there are multiple overlapping factors, beginning with the fact that some examples appear to have been struck on planches that were not intended for cents at all, leading experts to believe that a batch of experimental or transitional metal blank somehow entered the Denver minting process, which is already a major anomaly, because pennies after 1982 were primarily composed of copper-plated zinc, yet in rare instances a planchette of bronze or even a foreign metal could be mistakenly used. And this gives the coin a distinctive weight and color tone that sets it apart immediately from its ordinary counterparts, and adding to that are striking errors where the die may have been slightly rotated or misaligned, causing design elements such as Lincoln's profile, the date, the D mint mark, or even the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" to appear doubled, tripled, or faintly shadowed, something collectors often refer to as doubling. and in the 2016 AD pennies case the doubling is most noticeable in the date and mint mark, leading to the impression of a distorted or layered inscription that is both rare and visually striking, and on top of this already rare. Error is the possibility of die cracks and die clashes, which occur when the minting dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind ghostly outlines or raised lines on subsequent coins, and certain 2016 AD pennies show evidence of these unusual features, such as raised fissures along the edge of Lincoln's coat or strange lines across the reverse shield. And to the trained eye these are telltale signs of minting mishaps that escaped quality control, and when you combine all these factors with the undeniable uniqueness of the coin's composition you start to see why this penny is unlike any other, but the story does not stop there because the value is also tied to the sheer improbability of its survival, since most error coins are caught and destroyed during mint inspections. Yet this particular example somehow entered circulation or perhaps was set aside by someone who recognized its oddities before it could be discarded, and the survival of such a rare piece only adds to the legend, fueling the kind of intense bidding wars that drive prices into the tens of millions. And while some may argue that no penny should be worth that much, the fact remains that collectors assign value based on scarcity, desirability, and narrative, and in this case the narrative is incredibly strong, because the 2016 AD penny represents a modern coin with old-world errors, bridging the gap between current minting technology and the unpredictable mishaps of earlier centuries, making it an anomaly in an age where precision machinery was supposed to eliminate such mistakes, which in turn makes the coin not only valuable but also historically significant, as it demonstrates that even in a time of high-tech minting, human error, machine error, and chance can still produce something that transcends its intended worth. And if we go deeper into the specifics of what collectors are seeing, we find that under magnification the 2016 AD penny shows layered inscriptions around the date, meaning the numerals 2016 appear almost ghost-like in multiple outlines, and the D mint mark is slightly shifted with a doubling that makes it look like there are 2 or even 3 mint marks in close proximity, while Lincoln's eye appears doubled, giving the portrait an unusual and somewhat eerie appearance. And the reverse side with the Union Shield design shows faint lines crossing the horizontal stripes, which some attribute to die clashes, while others point out that the overall strike is slightly off-center, creating a thicker rim on one side and a thinner rim on the opposite, details which may sound minor to the casual observer, but to collectors these anomalies are goldmines of rarity. And then comes the metallurgical mystery of the coin's weight, with some reported specimens weighing slightly more than the expected 2.5 grams, closer to 3.1 grams, which suggests that either a leftover bronze planchet from pre-1982 slipped through or that a foreign planchet intended for another denomination was used, and this is extremely rare in modern times because mints take extra precautions to prevent such mistakes, so the very presence of this weight anomaly magnifies the coin's value exponentially, because if even one coin can be proven to have been struck on a wrong planchet, its rarity would be essentially 1 in billions, since billions of 2016 AD pennies were struck normally. And herein lies the reason collectors are willing to pay more than $60 million. Because owning something literally 1 in billions makes it a centerpiece of any collection, a once-in-a-lifetime acquisition that secures a place in history. And beyond the physical characteristics of the coin lies the psychological and cultural factors driving its valuation, because stories of small everyday objects transforming into treasures have always fascinated people, from stamps to baseball cards to misprinted books. And coins embody that fascination perfectly, since they circulate widely in the hands of ordinary people yet occasionally hide secrets worth fortunes, and when news spreads of a 2016 AD penny fetching $63 million, it ignites the imagination of millions who begin checking their change jars, pockets, and coin collections, hoping to stumble upon the next great find, and that very excitement fuels the demand because collectors know that the mythos surrounding such a coin enhances its allure. And with every article, video, and discussion about it, the legend grows, pushing prices even higher. And if we think about it, the 2016 AD penny's journey from a simple copper-plated zinc disc to a multi-million-dollar artifact represents the magic of numismatics itself, a field where chance, craftsmanship, error, and human passion converge to create value out of what most people overlook. And this particular penny has sparked debates among experts, with some arguing that its composition anomaly is due to experimental planchets used in small test runs, while others insist it was a fluke accident, but regardless of the explanation, the result is the same: a coin that should not exist yet does, and in its very existence it defies expectations and captures imaginations. And the more closely you study it, the more layers of intrigue emerge, from microscopic doubling in the lettering to subtle shifts in rim alignment, each detail adding to the tapestry of rarity. And what's remarkable is that while countless 2016 AD pennies exist, only this one or very few others show such a perfect storm of errors, and this makes it clear why collectors view it as priceless. And when we say priceless, it is not an exaggeration, because even though a dollar amount like 63 million has been attached, the reality is that if another bidding war erupted, the price could climb even higher as wealthy collectors compete to own it. And in the world of high-end collectibles, competition is fierce because rarity cannot be manufactured or reproduced. It either exists or it does not, and that is the magic of this penny, a single mistake frozen in time that survived against all odds to become a treasure beyond measure. And for anyone hearing this story, the lesson is simple yet profound, that sometimes the most ordinary objects can conceal the most extraordinary value, that a simple coin meant for everyday use can turn out to be more valuable than diamonds when the right set of mistakes align. And the 2016 AD 1-cent coin is the perfect embodiment of that truth, forever reminding us that hidden treasures are out there waiting to be discovered in the most unexpected places. And that is why this coin, through its errors, mistakes, and astonishing rarity, has become one of the most expensive and talked about coins in the history of numismatics.